Hey, how's it going, everybody? Today we're going to be talking about how to start a landscaping business. So most of you would tell me I'm crazy if I told you that you can make upwards of 100K a year with a landscaping business. So you don't need a college degree, you don't need to go to like tech school or anything like that. So it's pretty crazy to think about, especially when you're looking at the numbers. It's some wild stuff. In this video, we're going to talk about my background.
Nice.
As a landscaping employee, any assumptions that we're making, the startup costs associated with starting this landscaping business, as well as how to price your service correctly. Then we'll touch on the profit, and then lastly, we'll touch on the scalability of this business. So a little bit about myself and the landscaping company. So I actually started working in a landscaping company when I was 12 years old. I was actually working with my dad, and working is a big word, right? She was helping my dad mow these extra lawns early before school. So school started at 8, so I would wake up around like 5 a.m. and then go to work and then go to school, and then after school around like 4 p.m. I get out of school, go home, eat, and then help my dad some more. So we took advantage of that time in between. When I was at school, my dad went out and did most that he could, but before and after, I helped him out most of the time. He definitely relayed the route or route, whatever you guys want to call it, for every day, as well as the accounting part of the job itself, because I really like just looking at how we can organize things and be more efficient in general. So we kind of figured out that we had, at the very start, we had like 20 houses or 20 properties that we did the landscaping service for. So we spread out evenly, 5 a day. Sometimes we would do 6 and sometimes we would do 4, just because of the base of where the location is at. And then the accounting type, so it was all cash. So it was kind of hard to manage, but I kind of provided somewhat of like a structure like of what it's supposed to look like. But in the general, it never really lined up because sometimes some of the customers were late on their payments.
Where's the money, Lebowski?
Or other time frames. So it was very hard to manage that.
Oh my god, I almost died! No. I almost died! That was so scary, thank you.
But in general, I worked from 12 all the way till I was out of high school, so like 18 years old. And from that, I'll tell you, I learned a lot of things, not only like laboring and like developed kind of a green thumb for it.
Let's spruce this place up a bit, huh?
But the general gist of it is one person can totally do it. It's just up to the individual if you're up for the challenge or not. So that's a little bit about myself. So let's jump into the assumptions that we're making for this landscaping business. We're assuming that you have somewhat of a vehicle to get from point A to point B with all your equipment. So that being your lawnmower, your weed whacker, your shovels, your buckets, your trash cans, etc., all the above. So whether it is a truck, a van, a car with a trailer hooked up on behind, or even one of those tricycle things that have like a basket in front. I've seen people do that, and let me tell you, like, if somebody wants to do something, they'll get it done. You know, they'll find a way. Wide market up there, so if you can reduce your margins by a lot, your cost margins, then that benefits you. So you're not spending money on gas. If you're using that tricycle, you're not spending money on gas or on any other equipment maintenance for the vehicle itself. So that's something I thought was pretty cool. But let's jump into the next section. No startup cost. In total, you're going to be spending around $1,100 on the low end to start up this business. Again, assuming that you have a vehicle. So you're spending around $600 for a good lawnmower. A weed whacker or weed eater, whatever you want to call it, is $150, and a blower $150. These are kind of like commercial type weed whackers and blowers. You can get an electric one, but those batteries don't last for long, and if you're doing multiple properties a day, it doesn't really benefit you, but it can save you some time in the future, just a few extra bucks. A gas canister for you to carry your gasoline in, some string for the weed whacker. That's always helpful. They usually come in packs of 3, so $20 is pretty good for, I want to say, like a month or maybe 2 months if you're really good with it. Trash can and trash bags, they go hand on hand. You need them in case the customer doesn't want any of the clippings on the ground, or they request something special, or maybe you have some trash you need to clean up and you can dispose of it somewhere else. A square shovel, one of those big square shovels, really helps you up, clean up any of that trash or excess trash around. It's really necessary. It's one of the best tools that I have encountered with, or I have utilized when I worked in landscaping business. A pointy shovel, meaning kind of like a point and just a regular shovel. This shovel would really help you out when it comes to those cracks that have some grass or ingrown grass in them. Removing them is so easy with that, instead of just like having to weed whack and spending much of your string on there. So be efficient with it. And then your 2-cycle oil, so your weed whacker and your blower don't take the same type of gasoline that your lawnmower does. So you have to add a certain amount of 2-cycle oil into the gasoline before you can add it into them. So that'll definitely eat up your cost. And then a rake, just kind of rake some of the big leaves or branches or whatever is on the ground. A big shovel is also necessary. I think this was a different shovel, but what I meant by square shovel, I guess, is one of those square tips shovel. It really helps you out, again, cleaning those crevices in between the cement. Then short tip scissors and long tip scissors. This is if you're offering any kind of like trim bushing or bush trimming, but the general gist of it, you shouldn't be needing it if you're only providing lawn mowing. So just try to stick to that. And then gloves and the regular shovel. Keep it simple, get gloves. It really will help you out along in the future with your hands. So all in all, you should be spending around $1,100. I want to say $1,500 tops for your startup equipment. And if you really are looking into saving money, you can always go to Facebook Marketplace. There's a bunch of people that are trying to get rid of their stuff, so take advantage of that. So let's talk about pricing. So right here we have the input. So the hourly rate, that's my hourly rate, right? If I were to do DoorDash or if I would do any other business, they kind of average at the same amount, so $20 per hour. So, and then we're assuming we're gonna do a property that's 2,500 square feet, and that it takes us 10 miles to get from where we're at or where our next stop is or closest stop is to there. And it takes us about 15 minutes, including traffic. So that's just a case scenario that we're gonna look at. So our equipment gasoline, so it's gonna cost us 13 cents worth of gas to finish that property, as well as $1.90 for gas to get there. And then it's gonna cost us 1 cent of 2-cycle oil, as well as 7 cents for equipment maintenance. These costs are kind of broken down really down to the nitty gritty, which I did in the whiteboard section down there, but I won't bother you guys with that unless you guys want to see that. Let me know and I'll upload a video, just follow up on this topic. But continuing on, our labor is going to cost us $27.73. Again, this is your labor. This is how much you're getting paid, or I guess you're paying yourself for this job right here. It doesn't include your profit, doesn't include anything else. It's just the labor. And then the profit for this property would be $4.48. So the one-time price that you're going to charge this customer for 2,500 square feet is going to be $34.31. You can round it up, round it down, do whatever you want, but this is how much it's going to cost you, plus your profit, plus your hourly rate total. And then if they decide to do a monthly subscription, that means you go every week on a specific day, you charge them $150.97 for that specific service. And in total, this is how much it's going to take us. It's going to take us 53 minutes and 20 seconds to get through that service. So that means from the time that you need to take off wherever you're at to the time that you load up your equipment. And then the time to service is actually going to be 13 minutes and 20 cents.
What did he say?
It seems a little fast, but if you're working, you're working. It's different if you're mowing the grass in your home versus if you're on the clock for it. And you'll notice that instantly. So we'll cover having 2 employees. As you'll see, all the costs for the equipment is kind of the same. The only thing that changes is your labor and then your profit, because you have to account for that second employee to kind of pay them for their time, as well as like on top of that, because you got other stuff to pay for them. And then the one-time price would be $51 compared to $35. So the more employees you have, the more your cost goes up. So that also means your monthly subscription would go up, but you'll kind of provide a better service, I say, because you'll do it faster, you'll get it out of the way. Plus, you'll probably be missing some stuff and they'll really help you out with it. So lastly, it'll take you 6.6 minutes to actually service this whole 2,500 square feet property. And it'll take you 46.6 minutes in total from the time that you left the previous area to the time that you loaded up your equipment and you're gone, which is kind of a profitable way to look at it. I would prefer to have an extra employee with me just in case something would happen. Family. But if you want to just do it solo, you can. There's a lot more money on the table for you. Talk about your profit. So as you'll notice up top, I placed it on a category depending on how many employees you got. So we'll go over the first employee and then we'll kind of go through it. So we assume that you're doing 12 hours of operating, and that means from 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. or 6 a.m. 6 p.m. depending on what time of the year it is. And then we'll also touch on like how many lawns you're servicing. So if it's just yourself, you can service 14 lawns per day within that 12-hour time frame. And then for average price per lawn for this, we would say like $35 so each time you do a service, meaning that your profit plus your labor for that one day of servicing, right, would be $435. Converting, if you do 5 days out of the week for 4 weeks, you do $8,700 for the month. That takes up your annual income to $104,600. It's pretty crazy to think about it, but once you get that many customers in line and you can service them, you know what they want, then you can service them pretty quickly with more experience that you have. You can really get your numbers up there depending on what exactly their service wants. So you can charge people more for less, or somebody might be really getting their bang for the buck. So moving forward to 2 employees, you'll see that your profit or your lawns go up by 1. So your profit is at $532. So annual income would be $127, 778. So it's substantial, but you also got to keep in mind that this includes like having your employees' costs deducted. So you're gaining that extra house, right? And then as we move forward and move on, like your profit kind of goes down when you have 4 employees, because now you're paying for 2 vehicles and you're paying for a lot more items that you have to incorporate a lot more equipment. But once you keep going and you realize that you can scale it up pretty high, if you have 50 employees, that means you can service 375 properties in a single day. At an average of like $50 per property, you're bringing in every day as a profit, including your labor, which at this point was kind of minimal, $4,100. That's pretty crazy. So, and then looking at your monthly income, that'll be $72,000, putting you at $869,000 a year. That's wild. I mean, just on a landscaping company, right? If you're really dedicated to like your customer service, as well as like keeping your employees happy and addressing any issues that you have with like equipment or anything like that, and you keep it moving, it's just hard work and dedication. At the beginning, you're doing all the manual labor, but as you scale up, you have to do less and less of each thing so you can focus on not working, but growing your company. Last thing I want to touch on is the scalability of this business. So first things first would be your subscriptions, right? So how do you keep monthly payments coming in or one-time payments coming in? The kind of technology that I found behind that is Subscription Square. So they actually offer you a way to invoice a customer's credit card or bank for the amount of the money. It usually doesn't take that long to set up, but it's so much easier to do that than do cash and having to wait on them and have that awkward conversation of like, hey, you got the money for this month, right?
Where's the money, Lebowski?
I've had to do that several times, and even though like I did the job and I know I need to get paid, it was kind of awkward for me to ask for that money. It felt like I was asking for a handout, you know? So that takes that headache away. Next, you really want to look at acquiring commercial properties. This is one of the best advice that I've heard out there, or I've seen somebody do, simply because it offers you an opportunity to reduce the amount of properties you're doing and combine it into one big commercial property, right? So if it were, I'm just gonna throw a number out there, if it were one commercial property for every 5 residential properties, you get rid of that extra gas that you have to go place to place. You just go to that one property. Plus, You also get a lot more money for commercial properties because then your insurance comes into play and you really have to make the customer pay a premium for that insurance since they are the ones requiring you for it. And then lastly, if you really want to get into this whole different kind of aspect of the market, you can offer so many different services. So you can install sprinklers, you can trim any kind of trees, palm trees, huge trees, dead trees if you want to remove them as well, or if you want to do like a huge landscape makeover, you can. It just depends on where you find your niche in the landscaping business. For this specific scenario, I just did lawn mowing business. So that's it. I mean, you could probably do a little bit of like trimming a bush here and there, but mowing lawns is specifically the business model for this business right here. So the possibilities are endless. All right, that's it for this video. But if you did enjoy my analysis on the lawn mowing business, please do leave a like, a comment, and subscribe to my channel. That this really does help me keep making these videos for you guys. So that's it for me. Thank you.
See you, chump.